All right. All right. Welcome to lesson 10, week 5, H radio 123 part timers. Had a bit of a rest. Voice sounds a little bit better. So let's see how this lesson goes. Let's have a look at what chapter we are referencing today out of the Next Level Radio by Nashin Cullinan, chapter 3, 3.3. Point three, digital formats, page 86, and 33.4, delivery methods for multi-platform content, which goes between 89 and 90. Another short lesson, as you can see, 12 slides. So we'll go through that. And like I said, this is why we have the 3 lessons uploaded to Whole Campus. So, yeah, if anything is on your mind in terms of whether it's with the subject matter here that we've covered over the past couple of weeks. It's been a busy couple of weeks, I know that. And it's about to get busier, I suppose, for you because of the formative. Just let me know on the WhatsApp group. You are connected there. You are a couple of ghosts, which I say that in terms of your activity, just in general. But I've got a feeling that, well, there's going to be some communication at some other point with uh, the next 2 upcoming weeks. Okay. Regardless, you know that Wednesday nights between 6 and 10 o'clock at night, you can catch the class on Cole Campus, should I say digitally, but the link is on Cole Campus, and off to the Teams link that is posted under the announcements in HRadio 123 part timers, right? You can just follow that one. That'll be the one that we'll be using for the whole semester. Okay, so let us look at digital formats. Excuse me, right? There was, just that kind of introduction as to, again, we are in the digital age, that golden age of digital, right? The golden era, and it is obviously going to get more, I suppose, more advanced. Obviously the latest, I'd say commercial um, innovation. When I say commercial, so pretty much everyone uses it because it's in your face. Some kind of feeling of augmented reality as well as generated AI, whether it comes in the form of apps that we do use, right? And not talking specifically in radio or audio apps like you'll see here with third-party streamers. But like let's say photo editors and video editors and games that we can download, or again, generated or AI apps like ChatGPT, and of course, just obviously in general the Google, just the Google space as well. So we're not flying, around in cars. I don't think that'll ever happen, but that's just me. We are going to see some very fast and cool, I suppose, advances in technology in the world around us. We know that obviously in within the digital space, audio has found its space as well, its place and its space. With really the big foundation of where podcasts reside at the moment, but in terms of streaming, that's nothing new. In streaming radio for a really long time. As a platform itself, we do have, obviously, we have the online stations that are explicitly, right, online, digital. And then we obviously have all our other stations around the country that are hosted on apps like TuneIn, Radio Player, Simple Radio, and Radio South Africa. So always the one that I like to use is Radio South Africa. It's just simple to use. I'm not saying that others aren't. I mean, literally, this one is called Simple Radio. I've just found one that works. Why would I want to use anything else, right? Tune in, very popular at a certain stage, and the hype went down very quickly, just because literally there was a dime a dozen of these apps that you could find anywhere and everywhere, right? For iOS and Android platforms, right? You can just get these apps, as you know. It's nothing special or nothing new. But online streaming website directories will be Radio Tower, webradio.fm, Streamfinder, and Penguin Radio. Right. I think it's called, is it Penguin or Penguin? Um, Let me just quickly let me just quickly Google that. Give me a second, because that doesn't look right. Penguin, Penguin Radio. You see this? Oh, is a Swiss American synth pop band. Nope. So it's there's Penguin Radio for its indie station. Nope. It's obviously Penguin Radio. Okay, let's do that. Let's make sure that's correct. All right, Penguin Radio. That's so weird for a band name. Anyway, now we learned something. Like Penguin Radio, Stream Finder, Web Radio.fm, and Radio Tower. Okay. So digital formats that obviously have content and music and simply streamed, maybe pre-recorded and packaged as obviously content that you'll find across whoever is hosted on there as well. The most recent phase of streaming allows consumers to curate their own radio streams. So once again, like we want to be able to feel, I mean, especially we found that in Spotify, etc., right? That we have some kind of control as to what it is that we are finding in the digital exclusive space, right? And so we'll find that, like I say, you can do that as you know in apps like Spotify, etc. Create your own playlist, have an inclusive bunch of content links. In other words, like pre-recorded streams, right? Yeah, and I think that says it all. iHeartRadio or Access, biggest, I would say maybe the biggest in terms of like legacy. iHeartRadio has been around literally forever, right? And they are say tower when it comes to digital consumption in terms of audio, right? Um, and without giving you the whole backstory, at certain parts over the past 10 years, iHeartRadio was really struggling financially, and that could have been just because the landscape was becoming a little bit more volatile, and there was transitions that were happening at the end of the day, and not in a day's notice or whatever it is, but over I mean months and months and months. It was becoming increasingly more difficult to monetize what iHeartRadio was offering to the world, right? Um, Very big platform, a lot of things to go and find on there. Really cool. A service that gives you all the access. On all access, you'll be able to skip songs which are playing that you don't like, which is again just like playing off your phone. Your own database, save songs from the radio to your playlist, so that we'll find, like for example, something emulated, almost like YouTube Music, whatever it may be. Ad-free radio, which is bizarre, exactly for us to think of radio that is ad-free. Um, but it is because obviously they're monetizing in many other ways, third-party streams, etc. Or the way that iHeartRadio is obviously set up. Don't know the exact business model, but anyway. So I don't want to sit and lie to you. Instantly replay songs that you do like, listen offline, get unlimited access to millions of songs, and create your unlimited playlists. Right, so no restrictions there. Okay, another popular streaming strategy is to create different formats as offshoots of the mother radio brand. So, again, this lesson is repeated. I just did it with the second years. And same thing I said there was you could see this with our own brands here, like East Coast Radio, predominantly there, because we know so much about East Coast Gold and it's, man, it's, uh, from it start out, where it was born, and it was born exclusively like online. Its own, obviously, unique shows. Obviously, it's a unique format. It's got its very niche music genres that it does play. Again, format within the format gold, meaning classics and stuff, right? And obviously very popular. So you can even find them now listed alongside East Coast Radio to see what the numbers are in terms of rams, because people just like the product so much. So again, for example, we have again just those brands that pop up from as sub brands from the mother brand here. This allows a radio station to follow trends in different niches that might exist in the listening market and produce content. So it can get content or music based extensions of that station, right? Yes, to not confuse podcasting as another extension over here of the station itself, where a good opportunity for a station is to create just a unique, like for example, Jack Randa has a bunch of podcast series that they do run that are unique as products, right? So in other words, you won't hear what those podcasts include on the station itself. I'm saying on air wise, you don't have to go and then subscribe and go and listen to the series. As obviously an avid fan of Jacaranda, you'll find that some of their hosts are the core hosts for most of those particular podcasts, right? But extensions of. All right, producing content that might not have enough time to be dedicated on air, and purposefully so. So we take a strategic decision to extend ourselves a little bit further. Again, the base product is always the most important for us. It is the on-air product. But what does the on-air product allow us? The opportunities to go and investigate or play around in the spaces that we can play around in to create some cool added value to the brand. This gives the listener ultimate power in tailor making the music content specific to their tastes, and while still enjoying the live talk content and presenters character and personalities on air, along with the news, etc., etc., etc. So all the different aspects that have been now recycled and edited to smaller bite chunks, right, or bite-sized chunks, can now be then tailor-made once again, just like you would in um, predominantly, like I say, in a space like Spotify and Apple. In the speech format space, podcasts are the most popular speech-based digital radio format. So, when trying to define a podcast, a good starting point is to think of it as internet radio on demand. So, what you would like to, you'd like to go and explore, listen to. Maybe you feeling like you want to hear podcasts about food and nutrition and health, whatever it may be. You will go and you'll look for what you demand, right? Internet radio, quote unquote. It's a product on demand, and you have that selection at your own discretion, right? So that's obviously why we love podcasts so much, right? You can listen to a podcast on your PC, cell phone. Podcasts can also carry video content, which we say is called a vodcast, right? Not as popular as podcasts, right? I even looked at a poll that I just set out there. It was in my memories of my social media, Facebook specific, excuse me. And then yeah, like I put it out there a year ago, and everyone preferred, pretty much everyone, except 22% who did just do that snap poll, said we prefer a podcast instead of a vodcast, right? Because there's more, personally for me, there's more interesting things to go look at. I'm saying view in terms of the video format. So I wouldn't necessarily go and watch a bunch of people do a podcast unless they were in my realm, like the celebrities that I enjoyed, and perhaps maybe also it was yeah, again in my very particular vested interests, right? Okay, a podcast allows listeners to enjoy a piece of audio content at their own convenience, and you know that. And as we use really simple syndication, so you host particularly on one, let's say, platform, so you could host on Spotify, and you could use your RSS feed to host it automatically to other, let's say, other platforms. So you could use it to then stream to Apple, I suppose, and to Good Pods. I think that's what they called. I know Iono is there as well. I just go from my Iono account and it streams over with the RSS feed. Every time I update that Iono account with a new podcast, it'll just share it over to to Apple and Spotify automatically, right? So I don't have to really do anything. And good pods, just because I was like, why not? Let's just increase the reach just a little bit more. I can keep going, and you can go and find so much more sites because you don't know where people are going to be, and you don't know, yeah, well, you don't know who can become a next best friend. I'm saying best fan for you. So you might as well share that RSS feed. It takes little, almost little, but I'm going to say not no effort. That makes no sense because you won't have to do nothing, but very little effort to go and for that potential gain that you're going to get. Anyway, listeners can subscribe to podcasts, which are normally a free service, simply by clicking on an RSS icon also, or a subscription button. So they click on it, they always get all the updates, right? When something is released, updates them, and they just use that little RSS feed as well. Right, podcasts have very few restrictions and formats, so you can really talk about a whole bunch of things in varied amounts of formats, right, that are tailor-made to uh, basically, if you want to find anything about everything, you're going to find for sure a podcast that exists about that one particular very niche, um, want of yours within that everything in anything, right? And many podcasters have created exciting ways of communicating and generating income from their podcasts by obviously finding, for example, like a partner brand, right? They'll host, obviously, they'll monetize the podcast, right? And in the podcast, if the podcast has like a number of followers, they will quite organically just mention actually quite heavily, but organically, I'm saying naturally so, but heavily in terms of in your face, uh, and quite in a lengthy way speak about that particular advertiser, right, and their products, whatever it may be, without kind of like, beating around the bush. Some podcasts have now done what I feel is basically defeats the purpose of why advertising in podcast can be so effective, which is then they start putting pre-produced little ads in the middle of their podcast, which is just like it's obviously defeats the purpose of personalizing the whole aspect and obviously embedding it, which is why advertising in podcasts is effective. You embed it quite naturally in conversation. People don't know where to skip. But now that I know when I listen to certain podcasts that there's going to be a stock standard, an advertisement right there in the middle, it's going to take about 2 minutes or so. So I'm just going to kind of just skip over and once again defeats the purpose of that kind of like exposure that reach um, to a particular consumer. All right, let's quickly uh, check my textbook, Next Level Radio, and I'll hop over to page 88. Okay, and there's a list of the top 10, right? Or the top 10 at this point in 2019, 10 biggest podcasts. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to look at let's say, like the first one, which is The Shrink Next Door, which is a psychological storytelling format. So again, starting to see variance in comparison to what we spoke about with formats when it came to radio before. The Joe Rogan Experience, which is talk and comedy. The Chernobyl Podcast, which is a TV talk show. Gangster Capitalism, documentary style podcast. And then I'll look at Chelsea Handler, which is Life Will Be the Death of Me. So Chelsea Handler, it was her first ever, or it is her first ever podcast series, and it features very candid. She's a very funny woman. Hilarious conversation about her life, her work, and where she is headed next. There's a whole bunch of there's just look, I mean, you can go and listen to some of those as well to see why maybe they are taking the top spots in the world because that's a big deal. It's a big title to say, these are the most popular. I think it's in America. That would not make sense in the world. Let me just have here, look here. This is the most popular podcast. My assumption is in America. because those are all American podcasts. Okay. Just give me a second here. Second. So apologies for that. I just need to go drink some water and blow my nose. Okay. Delivery methods for multi-platform content. So, so what does this all mean? We'll just here have a look here in just a moment. Digital formats or platforms are so intensely like it's so broad. When I'm saying digital platforms might look like, oh, it's just an audio or a video or I say like obviously a print, but because there's just so many different types of places we can actually be consuming varied types of content in so many different ways in this day and age. It's just like it's an endless sea of opportunity to go and indulge with the world around you, right? There's a highway that allows radio professionals and everyday listeners to create and share their content and to promote it directly to potential and current listeners, right? So you know that you follow your uh, favorite, again, station, favorite presenter, whatever it may be. And we did also have a look at that when we had a look at this and social media accounts, particularly YFM's and Ayanda's in the first, I think it was the first week or something that I did the post lesson, the post class lesson, and you can go and obviously just reference that back again. I don't want to repeat myself, right? But we do know that we see how the stations can use it to again extend their quote unquote reach and their activity, I suppose. Yeah, their presence is a better word, but in different places, different spaces, in a listener's quote unquote online consumer's life. So anyone has a microphone device to record, access to the internet, and so in other words, you can go and create your content with just a mindful and so I say a mindful professional approach. So maybe get an app that is a better recording app for your phone. Make sure that obviously your phone actually the microphone this because there's so many little different holes, right? Um, and that may sound dirty, but you understand there's a tiny little hole that allows for the speaker. It allows for where you talk into the phone. It allows for there's another one that allows obviously for when where you are listening, like you're putting your ear to say what's coming out, whatever it may be. Anyway, so always check on kind of where that little microphone little hole is clean, and if you want to take, let's say if you want to just take an earbud or whatever it is, because you don't want to take, like, for example, a needle, which does is pretty much the only thing that fits in there. I would take a needle and cover it up with a little bit of cotton wool from actual cotton wool, or let's say the earbud itself. Just pull off a little bit there, so there's a bit of a buffer between there, and just clean that out, right? And you'll see that the because that gets dirty over time. You'll see that the quality immensely improved, right? Just by keeping it clean every so often. Anyway, but that's all you need to go and record something. So I say yes, maybe it might be a podcast or content for a podcast. It could be to go record Streetbox. You've got um, obviously your phone. I'm saying video, so you can go create video content, etc. Right? You know this. It is important to remember that just because anyone can say anything that they say anything they like and share it doesn't mean that they actually have to go and do it because it's not good all the time. Predominant, it's we live in a large portion of trash, right? Just random, and silly is good for a certain point, I suppose, but also just stupid and dumb stuff is where we might get at certain points when we are really thirsting for ideas, right? Anyway, instead of not having access to create your own audio, you now have the problem of navigating multiple content platforms in a way that makes content as relevant and meaningful to the right people that are on this particular platform and what it is that they expect to find and, like I say, interact with, engage with on that specific platform. So I think I've mentioned this before, different platforms for different reasons, right? The freedom to create content results in others in other issues like time and focus and commitment, etc. Right. The internet itself, so the success of a website or blog site is measured in the terms of people that come to visits, right? The terms of hits, but so much more in terms of analytics, really about like, do they spend time on your website? Have they, read, let's say, the full blog piece, the new blog piece? Are there people that keep coming back to the website? Again, to look at their behavior is where you use Google Analytics, and yeah, that's particularly for a website. Or a blog, right? And then each social media space will have its own base form of analytics, right? Very important to see. You can get a lot of hits, right? It's 1,000, 2,000 a day, but they might pop in because I mean a lot of people Google search stuff, and your search engine optimization can be very manipulative, right? And then they see, ah, man, there's nothing to see of interest, and I just go off whatever it may be, right? So just go away and I look at something else, right? So hits are one thing, just like likes, but engagement is engagement and presence. I mean, behavior within the site itself, very important to go have a look at, right? So that you can go use and repunt and re-promote certain very popular uploads, like I say, articles that you've written there, certain aspects of the site, like product services, important, right? So we can, yeah, important is where I'm gonna leave it. Certain factors, such as the more visitors that you do get on the site, the more times people visit and the longer that they stay, and can improve the rankings of the site as, let's say, how Google might, let's say, place them within a search result. The internet is an audiovisual experience. We know that for many radio stations, the most popular section on the website is the streaming service. So we go to a radio station's website, and while we are, let's say, perusing the site, we're just going to have a look there. We will immediately press the play button on the stream to listen to the station as we go and have like I say, just a walk around their actual site, right? And we'll kind of leave it. If we're happy with the stream, it's quite obviously dependable. It's not, in any way going like off and on and off and on, off and on, which we do find sometimes as well. And it's not because, not only exclusively because your internet connection might be bad, then we'll just get irritated and we'll just go off it. Right. The internet duplicates the broadcast and makes it more accessible to streamers and for hosting the audio product in a place that is accessible to many different people outside your footprint and your kind of your licensed radius, right? Okay. Uh, okay, let's look at a few tips to get listeners to find your internet sites. Okay. So here we go. Deploy and develop and deploy niche content that you are not aids, right? You are passionate about, right? Use on-air radio to promote online audio. Employ the use of digital marketing techniques. Incorporate sharing links. Increase stickiness, which is what we spoke about in the previous lecture, right? According to Scott Wolfel, right, from Geller's book, right, and also obviously inclusive into your own textbook, Next Level Radio, of Armchair Media. Well, Scott says when developing a website to host content, there are three important questions to ask. Why should anyone want to spend time here? Why should anyone tell a friend about the site? And what is the strength of the website? And what are you doing to promote and push that? We do often find, because there's a question. I mean, like, look, you want different parts of your site to also be promoted so they can go everywhere and anywhere. But perhaps maybe, it makes more sense to look at, oh, okay, maybe my dynamic mediums are where I'm finding the most, let's say, I say traffic entering the site. And perhaps there I can cross promote to other sections of my site that maybe aren't as popular, but are definitely just as interesting, for example, right? Social media, just to kind of close that up. in the social media space. We know it's called internet shorthand, right? So, in other words, you can just go to a social medium, as you know, and find a bunch of stuff that you 10 to 1. Well, I mean, you're not going to go further search 10 to 1, I say. Unless it's intriguing and you want to know a little bit more about it, you're going to click on, let's say, like obviously an embedded link, whatever it may be. But the whole thing about social media these days is to not have you click out of and move out of that particular platform. I mean, even I didn't even know this, but I learned it this year. So, like for example, obviously we know with TikTok, it's exclusive. It pushes you only to want to be on TikTok. Again, no links are allowed to be posted on there unless you have an excess of like 10,000 more followers. All right, but you can only include uh, no, you can include your website as a URL. You can include one URL, as far as I know. Yeah, you can. And then, but your post can't include anything. After I think 10,000, a large amount of followers, you are allowed to then post links within obviously your TikTok post sidebar, right? Um, but for example, did not know this. If you put an embedded link in, let's say like a Facebook post, Facebook will automatically push you down the algorithm news feed, the algorithm that propagates, creates, should I say, the news feed. So you'll find that your post, because they don't want people to leave the Facebook space, right? And that's what let's say like a YouTube link or this link, whatever it may be, any embedded link that you include into your post that no, it's okay. We'll push you down again, that feed. Anyway, social media allows stations and content makers to build relationships with listeners and content consumers. Social media expands the number of revenue generated options that are available to traditional radio, right? Obviously, because we know digital marketing is now again a stock standard staple within how we bring in money to the station, right? And it establishes a way to build revenue for an individual content maker, right? So obviously you can get sponsored, or again like you have a number of like a large amount of followers and a large amount of active followers, like on for let's say on YouTube, subscribers will be paid out. I'm saying you'll be paid out for a certain amount of subscribers and obviously for a certain amount of views for your video. Social media provides a welcome promotion portal rather than an obviously overt advertising one, which is now debatable. Let's be honest, because excuse me. Hmm. Anyway, every second post or whatever it is that you find in the feed is a damn advert, man. So this was obviously written when social media was a little bit more, little less greedy and intrusive. Anyway, okay. Right, one of the most important aspects of radio stations using social media is its tone, right? Because it can make or break you, right? So the words that we use in our captions and our descriptions, etc., right, must reflect the same tone as what we do on air on the station, right? The brand and its identity. The best thing by far by using social media, about using social media, is its ability to provide engagement, build a different type of relationship, right? That we can even kind of mirror on shows, right? So we can use a certain poll to start conversation, right? And then we can springboard like dynamic content based on that on air, right? On social media, everybody has a voice, not exactly always the best one, right? But we know that that's just society in general. It's just unfortunately that quote unquote I say idiots because and idiots in the nicest way, right? If you had to look at a room filled with 100 people and there were let's say five idiots, you know? So we're talking someone that is racist or sexist or, uh, classist or whatever it may be. No one in that room is going to want to hear them. Unfortunately, on social media, you can be any one of these type of people and you can still put your thoughts and feelings and whatever it is stances out there. Radio stations employ social only promotions that allow people following online to win tickets and prizes only if they interact online, right? So it's a lot more cost effective and try something new in the world of social media versus trying something new on national television, for example, if you want to cross promote to another platform on like I say, even OH, etc. billboards, very costly, right? Very, very cheap, right? In the digital space. Here we go. End of the lesson there, end of the week's lessons as well. Well, I'm saying no. Yeah, so please, yeah, I just recorded this one last. Lesson 11 is also up, please. So lesson 9, 10, and 11. Right here for lesson 10, complete activity 3A on page 89 and activity 3B on page 94. At any one point, also know that the reason why I suppose, okay, if you were in class, and again, I'm not being passive aggressive, we would do these activities together and then check your answers. But like now, you'll be watching the video in your own time. You can complete the activity and go at the back of the book to go see what the suggested answers are for those activities. All right, left you with a bit of a nugget there. Have a great week.